Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you. Another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks, I'm playing series videos I've been doing for a little while now. I go over there, try out food and drink items. I eat stuff and drink stuff, then, folks, I'm going to talk about stuff. I'm going to let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff that time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not going to lie. I'm extra hoping that this is delicious because I paid $24 for it. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's super simple format. I'm going to go over there and try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm going to yammer on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm inside my truck. And whilst I'm doing all that, folks, I'm wearing a super cool shirt. And folks, when I wear super cool shirts, I always like to highlight the super cool shirt. What super cool shirt am I wearing for today, folks? What happens to be my heartsick shirt, which I will say, I like this shirt. My one grievance with it, it's one of those shirts where like all the cool graphics are on the back end of it, and then it's like, and to be fair, some people like the more understated. I don't. I like the big garish, but it's a very cool shirt anyway. And it's from a very cool band. I ran into these guys a few years ago at the time I'm doing this. They were out on tour, and, I never heard of them up until that point. They were one of the touring bands. And I thought they were fucking awesome. Like, they were a blast. Tons of energy. Literally, at one point, the lead singer climbed up onto some of the rigging on top of the ceiling and was hanging down from that. Like, they were a blast. I really enjoyed it. I actually got some videos of their stuff. It's on the channel, just in case maybe you want to check it out. If nothing else, I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction as far as their music goes, because, again, I think they're a super badass band. But anyway, what am I trying for you today, folks? What are we doing here? Why did it cost me $24? Well, I'd heard about this thing for a little bit, and I was like, all right, I want to make this happen. Let's make this happen. Let's make this happen. So finally, food truck comes around, and I'm like, all right, perfect opportunity. It's not too far from where I live. We'll make this happen. What is it? It's It's Cousins Maine Lobster. Made famous on Shark Tank. Of course, one of the big success stories, basically a couple of cousins went over there, took the business idea. Hey, what if we took Maine lobster, brought it over to the West Coast, and it became a big success. And they went on Shark Tank. It became an even bigger deal. There you go. Well, now they have food trucks. And one of the food trucks happened to be, making its way around Illinois. And I was like, sure, man, let's get in there. Let's do it. So, what did I get? And why did it cost me $24? It is their... Okay. Boom! It's their Maine roll. So they had a couple different types of lobster rolls. They had a Maine and a Connecticut roll. I figured it's Cousins Maine lobster. You got to get the Maine one. And their Maine roll consists of Maine lobster, served chilled, with a touch of mayo on a New England roll. I'm just going to say this right now. I don't know that I feel like this is $24 worth of lobster. And the thing is, I actually did go over there not too long ago, maybe about a month or two ago. I went over there and I reviewed another food truck lobster thing from a place called Happy Lobster, which is featured out of Chicago. That, I think I got more lobster for, but at the end of the day, we'll figure it out. Okay, it looks like this. Let's get a thing for the thing here. I mean, it's not a bad amount of lobster, to be fair. Like, I'm not completely, we'll kind of do it like this. Ha 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 ha. Lobster. Some pretty tasty lobster. I'm not gonna lie. But let's actually, let's get into the whole thing of the thing, right? I don't know, man. I was just expecting it to be like a bigger thing, Like, it's kind of just, like, they call it a New England roll, but it almost just seems like some bread that's been folded over. But anyway. Oh. I like the toasted roll. Credit where it's due. Almost reminds me a little bit of like some Texas toast. Lobster tastes good. Doesn't have like a fishy taste or anything like that. Tastes like properly fresh. The mayo, I'm really not getting much of. I mean, it's Maybe there's a little tanginess there. And there's a little bit of the lemon wedge. And to be fair, like, I know that, like, their whole thing is like, hey, we use, like, ethically sourced ingredients and, fresh cotton stuff. So, like, I got you. But lemon, it helps liven it up a little bit. But I'll be honest, I think I probably, if I were going to get it again, I don't think I would add the lemon because it obscures some of the lobster taste. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's tasty. I mean, it's doing what it's supposed to do, to be fair. And I have to admit, when it comes to, like, foods that I've really wanted to try from other states, lobster roll, huge on the list, And unless I actually go to Maine or that part of the country at some point, it's probably the closest I'm going to get to that experience. Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was good. It was good, to be fair. But it didn't exactly thrill me, Again, I felt like the mayo was really underrepresented. Like, I didn't need it to take over the whole thing, but, like, if it's on there, I would have liked a little bit more just to give it a little extra zing. But, I mean, it did allow the lobster to kind of be the hero. And for what it was, again, the lobster tasted good. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to say 4 questions have to be asked with this one. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? Was it worth $24? And do I think it was better than Happy Lobster? Maybe on occasion. Sure, I guess. No, and no. Like, I have to admit, I'm a little bit disappointed with this one. Like, I'd really been looking forward to this. I actually don't watch, like, Shark Tank or anything like that, but I watch, like, a recap, because I do follow food stuff sometimes. And I watched a recap of their whole story, and I thought it was really cool. So when I saw that, hey, they've got they've got a food truck coming through, and, it's going to be hitting up areas in Illinois, I was like, man, that sounds awesome. Let's make this happen. Especially, again, after, doing the Happy Lobster truck. That was, like, such a great experience. I was really like, oh, this is gonna be the fucking best. Nah, it's okay. Like, again, there was nothing I disliked about it. But here, probably the most standout feature of that for me was the bread, which is kind of funny because I know I knocked it a little bit at the very beginning. But no, like, I liked the taste of the toasted bread. I genuinely thought that was a nice addition. The lobster was good, but I do think I've had better lobster, and I do think that, tying this back into the value, tying this back into the whole thing with Happy Lobster, it's a thing of, like, I think I paid around the same amount, or maybe a little bit less, for Happy Lobster, and I walked away from that with a big-ass sandwich full of lobster meat that was mouth-wateringly delicious. Like, that made my day. Genuinely, it made my day better. This, less on the lobster, still tasty, but not as tasty. And, it wasn't a bad experience, but, like, I'm kind of left here, sitting here, like, still hungry. And at least with the Happy Lobster, I got, like, some chips and stuff that came with it free. So, yeah. I think for me personally, if they came through again, and I guess they have, like, a Chicago location, so, okay, cool. Maybe I'd try the Connecticut one or something like that. But I have to admit, I wasn't that impressed with the Maine. And again, maybe if it was prepped a little bit, a little bit more mayo or something. Or if it just felt like I was getting a better value for my money. Yeah. And if I'm recommending it, This is one of those ones where it's like, and mind you, I always try to be really positive, with these reviews. I always want these things to go really well. This is one of those things where it's like, I can't say I had a bad experience, but I can say I had an overhyped experience. That is really what it kind of comes down to for me. Because it just falls within that perfect level of like, it was a good experience, I enjoyed it for what I got, but I've had better, and on top of that, I kind of feel like I overpaid. If I got more for my money, or if it cost a little bit less. If you could bring that down to like the $15 mark, okay, I'd give it to you. Or if you gave me a bigger roll, or if you added in a side or something like that, something where I could feel like I was getting back my money's worth. Because at the end of the day, it was just an okay experience. It was good for what it was, but nothing I feel like I need to go back to. Whereas with Happy Lobster, I legit thought about just literally finishing my review and going back and getting another one. This one, and again, maybe, the Connecticut roll or maybe one of their other options would work a little bit better. But yeah, I do feel like this one's a little overhyped. Especially, and depending on where you live. But, if you live in, like I said, the Illinois kind of Chicago area, well, you have other options. And so, 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of your week, monumental rest of your month, stupendous rest of your year. Folks, go over there yourselves a truly lobster roll-tastic rest of your life. And mind you, I do want to emphasize, I am not going over there and shitting on Maine or their lobster rolls or anything like that. I'm not even shitting on Cousins. Like, again, it was disappointing, but it wasn't bad. But I do want to emphasize, that it is like, I'd love to go over there at some point and get some, fresh from this, from the thing and from the actual locations. But final 2 things. Number 1, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do if you can't do it all the time, I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Folks, not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating and just bullshit sometimes, folks. And when we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important we go over there whenever possible. Take a step back, try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives, hopefully do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, have you ever had like a proper, like Maine lobster roll, like from the, the states that it's famous, well, Maine and, stuff like that, but from that region? Because like I said, man, there's lots of foods I'd love to try from all over the world. Maybe if this YouTube thing ever takes off. But that's always been one of my top ones, man. It's always been like, man, I'd love to, get like a proper lobster roll. And again, I'm not saying this is improper or anything like that, but, I don't know. But I'd be interested to hear what your personal take on it is. Anyway, bye.